Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session. The platform Teachers Tribe International Community is meant for educators who want to empower teachers community around the world through their knowledge, skill, and experiences. Dear teachers, if you want to join the most relentless community of the teachers, then wait for the end of the session where you'll see the exit ticket. It will enable you to reflect on today's learning and earn a certificate. You can also join us as a presenter through the same link. Today we have with us Penny Pareja, who is our presenter. It's great to know that although she has just started her journey in the school, she has achieved many milestones. She will share her best class practices where she has used an inspiration from Trevor MacKenzie's book, Inquiry Mindset, and dive into inquiry. Now let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. It's good afternoon from me here in Spain, and I'm going to be sharing with you as Anila said, my humble experiences and some of the things we do in the classroom to promote visible thinking routines and inquiry in bilingual learners. I'm going to be sharing with you a presentation in which I'm going to show you what we do in the class and how me and my workmates have tried to adapt all the things we've been learning to make the most of the children's learning. I hope you enjoy it.
I can see many educators joining from different part of the world. You can write your introduction, a brief introduction, so that Penny would know from where you are joining.
Yes, please do. I would love to see where you are from. And I promise I will try to read everything. And if you want to continue chatting later, as Anila said, you have an exit ticket. And you can leave there your thoughts, your impressions, and your experiences too, because we are here to learn. So, as you can see, I'm going to try and unpack a unit of inquiry with you and just basically show you what I've been doing with my children. First of all, I wanted to start with a little definition of inquiry, as it's noted in Trevor MacKenzie's book, Dive into Inquiry. He starts with this quote: "Inquiry is the dynamic process of being open to wonder and puzzlements and coming to know and understand the world." This is something that was a bit enlightening for me and some of my workmates, because as I will be saying in the rest of the presentation, we have to bear in mind that inquiry is not only investigation. It's a way of looking into the world, and it's a way of learning that our students have to come to terms with. Sorry. Okay, this is the picture. I don't know if you're familiar with this poster, with this sketch note. They are all in Trevor MacKenzie's webpage, and they are for free. They can be downloaded, and they are in several languages. For me, it's a way of presenting the children the different concepts in primary years program or inquiry-based learning. And this one is the one that is going to lead all my presentation. It's the types of student inquiry. As you can see, it's very visual. It's a swimming pool. I used to print them and put them around my classroom. And this one is the one I use to plan my lessons. Every year I've been teaching, the first thing I've done is to think where I was and where my children were in the inquiry process and where I wanted to go. So this year, I'm in first of primary, first grade. They are really small. So of course we are in a structured inquiry. And my goal was to try and move to controlled inquiry and then to guided inquiry. I don't know if they will be able to end up with free inquiry. I will keep you updated. But in previous years, I can tell you it's possible. I've been in third of primary, third grade, and they finished the year with free inquiry. And you have to have the passion and you have to believe in your students. So this is the first step for us to take into account when we look at the presentation. We are in a structured inquiry. This is more or less what I've told you, okay? This is the inquiry model I use in my classes. My experience, as Anila said, is short. So for me, it was normal to be scared, to be frustrated, to feel or to think that my learners couldn't reach the free inquiry, especially because they were non-native speakers. Their first language is Spanish. So for them, it's really difficult sometimes to understand things in English. And with them, I cannot use Spanish. I have to communicate in English. But we have to be patient. We have to be consistent and we have to be flexible. I was chatting to a fellow friend from Ireland yesterday, and the first thing I told her when she asked me for advice is that she had to be flexible. She needed to keep an open mind. And she always had to aim for the best. She always had to believe that her children were capable of everything. But we need to believe in them. We have to be passionate and we have to believe that they are capable of anything. And I wanted to give you 3 things to remember for the end of the presentation. The first thing is that we don't have to throw our learners in the end of the pool, in the deep end, because they don't know how to swim yet. So we have to give them the tools. We have to empower them first. And this is what Trevor MacKenzie's books are for, and this is what you are here for. You have to empower your learners so your learners know how to swim. That's why I like the swimming pool sketch. Then you have to bear in mind that inquiry can happen at any age group. Students just need the support and the right strategies. And you can give them the right strategies, even though if you believe they are not the perfect ones, they are not like the Pinterest picture perfect, but they are the ones your students need. And then, as I said at the beginning, is that inquiry is not investigation. Sometimes we mistake inquiry for investigation or for project-based learning, and it's not that. We will unpack it with this presentation. Our scenario. It's first of primary. It's first grade. They are 5 and 6 year olds. They are bilingual, but they are more fluent and confident in Spanish as a mother tongue. It's the first unit of inquiry in the year. They have just come back from summer. We start in September in Spain. The unit of inquiry is This Is Me, and the transdisciplinary theme is Who We Are. So it's kind of easy for them because it's something they know, they are familiar with. Children have never used a visible thinking routine. They come from infants, from early years foundation stage to key stage 1. They've never seen a visible thinking routine. Some students don't read or write, and some students have special needs. So, bearing this in mind, this is how I got started. I decided to start thinking visible thinking routines since the very beginning, since beginning of September, because I wanted to develop an inquiry mindset among students. And as I said, I have the passion and I believe that they are capable of it. In this unit of inquiry, I wanted to start promoting questioning and curiosity with a PowerPoint, with striking pictures. I don't know if you're familiar with Susan Powers, PYP teaching tools, but she's one of the believers that just with an image, you can start promoting inquiry among children, especially if they are little ones. And from all the visible thinking routines I knew and I had put into practice, I decided to choose the See, Think, Wonder one because it's the simple one. It's the easiest one for them. This visible thinking routine and the PowerPoint increased motivation and engagement, and it made research meaningful. It gave them a motivation to research and to know more about subjects. And it also helps students to make transdisciplinary connections, which is something we are always looking for in our teaching practice. And it's sometimes a bit difficult with the little ones. sorry. As I said before, we started using a structured inquiry, and our goal was controlled inquiry. But again, I'm telling you this so many times because it was one of the things that was harder for me when I started. It's step by step, and just if the students and also us as teachers feel confident. Because if you're not confident with what you do, it won't come out well. Children sense it. They know that you don't believe in what you do. Okay, let's move on. The sitting wonder routine I used, it was too difficult for them at the very beginning. So we changed it into I see, I think, and what if. Instead of a question, what if? What will happen if? Their thought and questions were drawings, because as I said, some of them don't read or write. Or if they couldn't even draw because they were really clumsy or their fine motor skills were not developed, I wrote it for them on post-it notes. Why did I wrote it even though they cannot read? Because it's feedback for me and for the assessment. And it also makes them feel important and makes their inquiry meaningful. And that's something vital for them. They have to feel that what they are doing is meaningful. Here are some realia. I didn't want to show you the PowerPoint, but I'm going to show you bits and pieces. These were the two first pages, See, Think, Wonder, and a little brain thinking, because in every unit of inquiry, we use post-it notes with something relevant to the unit. So in this unit, the post-it note had a little brain because it was about the body and about the five senses. And then the See, Think, Wonder template. And then, as you can see, some striking pictures. You can see a life cycle from baby to old man. You can see a child with prosthetic legs running. I don't know if you can see it properly, but it's a child with no arms trying to drink with his feet. Then a Mr. Potato with the parts of his body mixed up. And then someone dancing on a wheelchair. As you can see, they were really striking for 5 and 6 year olds. And this is what we did. We had a poster with I see, I think, what if, and they came with their ideas and we put them there, either with post-it notes that I wrote or with their drawings. This is a closer look at the post-it notes I was writing for them, and I was repeating what they were saying as I wrote it so everybody could see and could hear. And after the provocation activity, what I did is I gave them a very, 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 very simple version of the visible thinking routine as exit ticket. I made this with a Canva. It's very easy. You can adapt it to your children's needs. You can adapt it to your language. I did it in English and in Spanish, so my workmate, who is the one that does the Spanish part, could use it with them as well. And it says, what do you see? And they could draw something they had seen. And it said, what surprises you? And they could write or draw something that was really striking for them. Then, as you can see, some children were more confident just drawing. I see a person in a wheelchair. You can see one of my little babies drawing. I wrote it as well, what he saw, and I put it on the learning wall later. And then I see, and it says in Spanish, one has no legs, one has no arms. You can see a drawing of the boy with the prosthetic legs and a drawing of the boy who's drinking with his feet. Then I always aim for the best. So I wanted to move from structure to controlled inquiry. How was I going to be able to do it? With three things. With a topic and big questions about the topic. Big questions are open questions that promote thinking and don't have a fixed answer. Then my role as teacher was guide and facilitator. So I could empower students and give them the tools they needed. And collaborative learning in groups. Here you have a definition of collaborative learning, but I'm also asking the question, so you ask yourself, what does collaborative learning mean to you? Collaborative learning is not only group learning. It's a situation in which two or more people learn or attempt to learn something together. And it's a coordinated asynchronous activity that is the result of a continued attempt to construct and maintain and share conception of a problem. This is very hard for them. Collaborative learning and group dynamics is like inquiry. They have to be trained and work day after day. It's not easy. It's not going to be nice. I'm warning you, you haven't done it yet. It needs lots of your patience, and you have to turn into a Zen teacher because they fight, because they don't know how to negotiate meaning. So the first thing is putting them into groups. You have to group and re-group them. That is something you learn when you start with the primary years program and with inquiry-based learning, and it's essential. You can group them using different techniques. Who has a birthday in October, November, December? You go together. Who has one brother and a sister? You go together. Who has pets? From your pets, who has a cat? Who has a dog? And you have groups. You learn how to do it with sticks. All the red sticks together, or the blue sticks together, or the orange sticks together. From year of birth, if you are working in mixed groups, anything can work. But you have to group and re-group there. So they learn how to negotiate meaning, how to work together, and how to have different roles. Children find it difficult to work in groups, very difficult. As adults, some adults have the same, thank you. Some of them have, problems as we adults have. We want to rule. We want to be the bosses. We want to be the ones that write everything. We want to be the ones that look at books. So assigning a role can be helpful at the beginning. Assigning a role is like grouping and re-grouping. You can have your own methods. I'm giving you advices from one of Kath Murdoch's books, but you can also assign a role depending on the learner profile attribute. You are open-minded, you are inquirers, you are thinkers, you are reflective, and inside of the group, each one of the learner profiles has a different responsibility. But I'm going to give you this as an example because it helped me really, really, it helped me a lot, especially last year when I was in third grade. Helping your pupils work cooperatively is a little book. It's really thin. It's really cheap in Amazon by Kath Murdoch. And it's full of practical examples. The thing is that once you follow the techniques this book have, the outcome is amazing. And I'm sharing with you this. This is a scan from the book. And these are roll cards. These roll cards can be printed, laminated, and you pin them on the students' t-shirts. And it works for the older ones. You have the problem solver, you have the recorder, the go for is the one that gets the materials and the things the group needs, encourager, reporter, timekeeper, observer, organizer, and coordinator. Obviously, not every time they work in groups, the same children will have the same role because it's not challenging for them and they don't develop the abilities we want them to develop. Remember, in the primary years program, you have also abilities to develop with the children. But these role cards or similar role cards you can make for them are really useful. I will show you pictures of the role cards we developed for the final summative tasks in the unit of inquiry we are unpacking. But let's move on. And this is another one of Trevor's sketches. You can tell I love them. If you have seen pictures of my class, you will see that they are all around the class. And these are the 4 pillars of inquiry. And this is what we have to bear in mind when we want to develop inquiry in our students. It doesn't matter if it's controlled, structures, free, guided. They need to explore a passion, aim for a goal, delve into curiosities, and take new challenges. Both students and us. Bear it in mind. It's also challenging and passionate for us educators. So, we started the unit and all of a sudden we had questions. And as you can see, we went to our library and we had our little post-it notes and we were writing down the questions or looking for information in groups already. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little R in one of my girls' hand. And it's because in that moment in her group, she was the reflective one. And as she was the learner profile attribute reflective, she had to write down the reflections of the group. In groups, we decided to look for the answers. Then you can see more of my children taking a look at another book. But more questions came out. And some people might think about that as losing teaching time, but for me, it was gaining inquiry time and learning experiences for the children. So we were inquiring, we were investigating, and we had to inquire and find the answers. Boom, controlled inquiry came out. You can see a sample of my whiteboard. They wanted to know more about the human body, but not outside. They didn't want to know the parts of the body or the parts of the face. And it was written down on my planning. They wanted to know more about the body inside. So they decided that they were risk takers and thinkers. And I made a little drawing of what they had found out. They had found out about the brain, about the heart, and about the stomach. So we had a little puppet with the drawing. And it was controlled inquiry because I was there, but they were more and more autonomous. Here you can see the little post-it notes with their questions. And as you can see, some of them were written by them. I translated some of them because I couldn't understand what they were saying, but they had started writing, and it was such a eureka moment for me. And you can see the little brains that make our post-it notes interesting for them. And here you can see something that is very rewarding for me, is that at some point they look in the learning wall for answers as well. We have our learning wall, we follow Kat Murdoch's inquiry cycle, but children are part of the learning wall, and they look at the learning wall for reference, and they pin things on the learning wall. And the learning wall is at the side, at a height children friendly for them. They can reach it with their eyes. That's something very important for you to bear in mind. If you put things up, they cannot see, they cannot relate. It has to be at their height, even though you're scared of them or breaking it. Here, you can see that we were able to do see, think, wonder instead of see, think, what if. And you can see the reflections I wrote that were the reflections they had. So yeah, you can see I'm proud. I'm proud of my babies. So the visible thinking routine was working. This is something I use in my class. They have little see, think, wonder stripes on their tables, so they can always look at them and they can always see them. I laminate them so they last longer, and it's really worthy. And they have available all the visible thinking routine exit tickets on a plastic pocket, so they can get them when they need it and they can try and write. This one was copied from the board, but this boy, Pablo, has started writing now, so he can do his own. This is something I wanted to include here because a little boy called Guillermo had a question, and he wanted to know why the heart goes boom, 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 why the heart beats. So we had to replan the unit of inquiry and look for different learning opportunities for them so they could find out how and why the heart beats. Some of my parents were doctors, so they came and explained to us in class. And they could have this reflection. They could have a little drawing about the heart and about why and how it beats, which is also social agency. And, thank you, Carrie. And it shows that it's worthy, which is what I intend you to get as knowledge in this little talk I'm giving. This is the summative assessment. So we are arriving to the end of the unit. We are unpacking the whole unit. And the summative assessment is transdisciplinary because we connected the 3 lines of inquiry with the central idea and also with experiences from their life. In one of our lines of inquiry, we wanted to know more about healthy living, and they extrapolated that to the parts of the body. So as you can see, we made a Mr. Potato with fruit and vegetables. The objective was cooperative and collaborative learning. So you can see what I told you about collaborative learning in these photos and this experience I'm going to share with you. How do you organize a summative task? This is the theory behind it. You have to evidence learning. You need a finished product, you need open questions, and you need closed questions. Because as you know, we usually follow the GRASPS model. We need a goal, we need a role, we need an audience, a situation, and product and standards. And with all of that together, we establish the summative task or the summative activity, whatever you call them. The final summative task. In PYP, or inquiry-based learning, assessment is continuous and it has to be done in many different ways, basically through observation. We are observing, we are taking notes, we are taking notes, we are using post-it notes, but we also need to show what they had understood. We need to show them, especially what they had understood, not to show my boss, not to show myself, not to show moms and dads. They need to realize which learning they have attained. They need to be proud of their learning. They need to celebrate the learning. That's why I think the summative task is for. So we decided on a summative task that brought together the 3 lines of inquiry. And we designed the final summative task with open questions that are big questions that demonstrate a global understanding of the connection of all the lines of inquiry to the central idea of the unit of inquiry. And closed questions. Closed questions are the ones that we can call formative assessment. They tell us that the children have attained a specific knowledge. Sorry. Open questions are defined and developed through group work, as you can see, and as you have seen, and as you will see, linking all the knowledge they have acquired with their conclusion, showing agency and empowerment. I'm sorry, I'm always repeating the same thing over and over again, but if we don't believe in them and we don't show them what they are capable of, this is not worthy. The closed questions are vital for the teacher because they tell us if basic knowledge is acquired, and they give the students the focus on the theory because they need a theory to develop the project. This is our summative task. As you can see, my school is in a privileged location. We are in the middle of the mountains. And these are my children working in groups to make their final summative assessment. These are the groups. They were groups of 5 or 6. And they were given all the materials they needed. And basically, they knew they had to make a body. But we didn't tell them with which vegetables or fruit they had to decide by themselves, negotiating. Here's some of the outcome. I think it's pretty nice. And here's what I told you. They were assigned roles to work cooperatively. They are very small, so I didn't want to pin it because I wasn't very sure about the pin part. So I made it with stickers. And as they were making a body, I said they were helpers and doctors. And the helpers were open-minded and the doctors were knowledgeable. So we had 1 doctor per group, and then the rest of the group were helpers. But you can modify it and use anything you want. It's just to make it more interesting and attractive and to make them really feel they are doing something. They did an exit ticket for self-assessment, and then we as teachers kept the exit tickets as feedback. And this is the exit ticket. The exit ticket was on a double-sided page, and it had traffic lights. The activity was green, fantastic, yellow, so-so, and red, I didn't like it at all. The learner profile attributes we used were these ones, or did you feel that you needed to use another ones? And the key concepts. And then on the other side, they had I see, I think, and I wonder. I put the I see and I think together because some of them don't really, make a difference yet between the two of them. For them, seeing is the same as thinking. And then they do know that wonder is questions. And none of them thought that the activity was yellow or red. They all loved it. They all said it was green. And I have to say that some of them wonder why they were making a Mr. Potato with vegetables, because then they couldn't keep it as a toy. So it was quite, enlightening and amazing. It was fab. I really recommend you to always do exit tickets with them so they feel part of it. And this is my final reflection for you and for me. Also, I'm always asking myself this question. I'm also always telling myself the same thing when I'm tired or when I feel I'm not doing my job right. Developing an inquiry mindset is a long process. Don't give up. For example, I was used to being third of primary, third graders, 8 and 9 year olds. So with them, inquiry was quite easy. Their level was high. It was pretty smooth. Then this year, I went back to first grade. So I was ready to give up by week number 3. But it's a long process, and I have to keep in mind that I cannot give up because they will be able to do it. And then on the other side, you also have to bear in mind that being a PYP teacher or an inquiry-based learning teacher, or just living your teaching experience like this, is a unique experience to build up the curriculum with your students. And that we are the lucky ones because we plan a unit, as I said to a fellow friend yesterday, and we arrive to a school with a perfect unit planned, and then students have another plan in mind, and they change everything. And you have to plan your unit again and again and again. And you're always looking for ideas and you're always changing it. Sometimes you're too tired. Sometimes your day at home hasn't been easy. But it's a challenge and it's great. So we really are the lucky ones. We need to bear that in mind always. And last but not least, I want you to think, and I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go back to the swimming pool poster. And I want you to think, where are you placed in that poster? Where is your inquiry practice placed? Um, or where do you want to be? Because that's another thing. Maybe you are not there yet, but you have a goal. And we all need a goal. So I guess this is my experience. And this is what I have been able to collect in these years I've been working with visible thinking routines. I hope it's been a good summary. If you have any questions or you want to ask anything.
Penny, I can't see questions right now.
I can't see either. Don't worry. Yeah, I know.
So we will get back to you if we see any questions
Okay.
because teachers do come back to us asking questions. So we will get back to you in that case.
Yeah.
But otherwise, thank you so much. I
No,
felt
thank
like
you for the opportunity. It's been great. I've enjoyed it a lot.
I actually felt like part of the class only because you showed so many pictures and I could connect how it was, how the inquiry was going on.
It was amazing for me as well. It was really amazing for me because at the beginning I was desperate. I didn't know what to do with them. They were so little.
Yeah.
But yeah,
On
it's
behalf
been an
of our
amazing journey.
yeah. On behalf of our entire community, I would like to extend the facilitation of appreciation to you.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Ooh, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Teachers, you will find a link here in the chat. In some time you can do the exit notes there where you have to reflect on your learning. Also you can earn a certificate for being part of it, and if you want to be part of the presenter, being a presenter, it's a lovely opportunity. That what I have seen, because when you inquire a lot on a topic, you're also learning a lot. So I would encourage you to be part of it. See you next time.
See you. It's a pleasure.